F100 Nation, Episode 10. Craig LoPresti. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're joined by Craig LoPresti. I'm probably butchering his last name, but had a great time chatting with him, chatting a little bit about his F100 project that is his daily, along with some of his other projects he's got going on, and his future plans for the build. So just a neat, articulate young man, and super happy to have had him on the podcast. Hope you guys enjoy.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, Devin?
Hey, dude, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast and, tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
Dude, so you have a beautiful 71 F100 that's you've been working on patina. Yeah, did you kind of force patina that, or was it natural patina? Tell us a little bit about that truck.
Well, I've been searching ever since I was probably sophomore, even freshman in high school. I'd go on Craigslist after school every single day, and I'd be looking at miscellaneous projects, and I went from Comets to Mustangs to Camaros. I went all over the place with what cars I wanted, and then I started narrowing it down to where I couldn't afford a Mopar. I didn't want a Chevy. I'm typically a Ford guy, so I was looking at Ford cars, and then I was starting to look at trucks, and I realized my family didn't have any trucks. I was looking at lowered trucks and pre-runners and old pre-runners, and then I was looking at all these different vehicles. I started looking at F100s, and I saw the one I thought that looked the coolest was the 67 to 72, which is known as the bump side. And I pretty much just cruised around Craigslist for a long time, and I found a few that I liked, but the big thing was I could not find a short bed, as you're probably familiar with if you've been on Craigslist any time. It's the short beds are double the price, or you just simply can't find them. So I would search around Craigslist, and I found a short bed. It was really cool. I found a 6-cylinder, 3-speed. It was a 3-speed on the column, and then it was moved to the floor. Looked at that one, but there was too much Bondo and all this other stuff that we didn't like. And then there was another one that we found that had a Crown Vic in it. It was slammed. It was black. It had an injected 5.0 in it with an automatic, but you had to put the truck in reverse just to start it, and so it was a wiring nightmare, and didn't get that one. And then I found the rusty one that I own, and it was sitting probably 40 minutes from my house, and it had sat in a field for 20 years before I got it. The story, I guess, was the guy that I bought it from, his wife's father, bought it from a local tow company, and it had a Tommy gate on it. So it basically, I think, hauled appliances, it hauled anything really, and it was just a work truck. And when I got it, both doors, if you look at older pictures of my truck, it actually has, the front of the doors, my driver door, I still haven't replaced the driver door, but the doors had actually been hyper-extended forward, and so they were smashed, so, I don't know if both doors were open and they were trying to get out somewhere quick, or the truck rolled backwards and it went through a gateway and just pulled both doors forward or something like that. But they got wrecked, and when I opened my door, it kind of gets a little wonky and it doesn't shut very well. And then the front fenders got smashed too, and then it was driven into a pole at one point. My whole grill was smashed in the truck. So the truck was really just completely beaten and abused. And it had a lot of drip oil rust, and there was someone obviously trying to fix it, and it was just pounds and pounds of Bondo in the roof and the bed, and a lot of that stuff. So, and someone actually resprayed the truck probably 10 to 20 years ago. But when we got it, pretty much had that original age to it, and I saw it, and I immediately clicked to it, because I was this has, from what I can see on Craigslist, those blurry photos, I was this could be a really cool lowered, original patina truck. So I really wanted to get it and either lift it and make a pre-runner out of it, or I was set on lowering it, and I couldn't really decide what at the time.
Well, it's a beautiful truck, and you definitely scored on that thing.
Yeah, we got it actually for $3,800, and it's a factory short bed, California truck. It's got a Ford 302 in it with a 3-speed manual. It's a sports custom edition, so it had a nicer interior. It had, I don't know who thought Wimbledon white and a green interior would be a good idea, but it had that dark green interior. The seat, the dash. It had these weird, vinyl squishy door panels. They were really, really weird. But yeah, it's a pretty good package truck. I'm pretty sure the only like nicer option than mine would be a 4-speed or a Ranger, really.
Well, it's a beautiful truck. I mean,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, watching your YouTube channel, watching you drive that thing and enjoy it, and I mean, dude, premium.
Yeah, I try to be a lot really different within my high school. Everyone had new cars, and I was one of the old ones because I was very, very picky when I was getting my first car. I told my parents that I had options to get a completely rebuilt, redone 95 F-150 short bed 4x4, new interior, new motor, red paint, lifted. Could have got that, but I said no. I wanted the rusty piece of junk that didn't even run. A little bit different than every other 15, 16-year-old at the time, but that's what I wanted because I was set on getting a vehicle, my first vehicle, that I could keep until the day I died. Because I wanted to be able to say when I'm like 7 years old that I still have my first vehicle. I think that's so cool that people can do that. I wanted to do that really badly.
Man, that's awesome. Well,
yeah.
You definitely take care of it, and it looks like you enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with it, and the funny part is we're like just getting started with it. Like I've had like my C10 that I've got, that's just like a side project, and I've had like 3 or 4 other F100s and F250s just in and out. But just to kind of like establish like a economical boundaries to where I can actually afford my short bed, but I've been just driving the short bed. The short bed, I've acquired so many parts for it that once I have the time and the space to be able to actually sit down and build the thing, I mean, it's gonna turn heads like crazy. It's gonna be amazing. So I'm just waiting for that.
What's your plan for it? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, I don't know if you
totally.
out of the bag yet, but
yeah, no, I've briefly pretty much told people what I wanted to do, but I've been very I haven't been completely open just because I am in college, so everything's pretty slow. But for the most part, over the years, I think a year and a half ago, I picked up off of Craig LoPresti a Crown Victoria front suspension, kind of similar to what you're doing. I don't know if you're doing an air ride or anything, but I plan to pretty much. I started because I was looking at lowered F100s, and I started to look at like kind of a racing feel because I didn't really like just going slow or just cruising or just like bringing it to a car show and airing it out. I wanted to like beat the crap out of my truck kind of. But yeah. I saw I kind of looked up pro touring, and I really got into pro touring. I thought it was really, really cool how the cars looked, how the cages are, how the suspension works, how those cars literally can make a hairpin turn, and they just blow out of the corners. And I thought it's so cool how they handle. And I mean, you can do with it whatever you want with them. And it's not like a drag racing car. You could drive these things on the street, and it would be like a normal car, which I thought was really, really cool. So I picked up a Crown Victoria front suspension. And then I hooked up with Chris Eisenhower. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that name, but he's 1450 class, trophy truck driver. He has a really, really cool F100. It was silver and blue, and he just painted it, or he just got it rewrapped like black and gold. But it's a 69, I believe. It's a really cool truck, and he sold me a set of 1970 short bed frame. And so I have a factory short bed frame, and then I got the front end, and then I went out and I bought I think it was a 98 Explorer, 8.8 Ford rear end with 373 locker, disc brake, gears in it. And that hopefully, because the Crown Vic's 4.5 lug spacing, and then the rear end is 5 on 4.5. So I can have Mustang, I guess, wheels on it, and I could have disc brake front and rear. I'll have positive traction in the back, and then I can have this nice lowered chassis. I wanted to do like a C-notch with it. I would probably just do an axle under or axle flip temporarily just because I simply can't afford a 4-link yet. But I'd love to do a 4-link. I'd love to box the frame. I'd love to do all this stuff to make a really, really solid frame and just get this kind of like pro touring frame that I can hold up to if I want to clutch kick the crap out of it, and if I want to power out of corners, if I want to go over uneven stuff, I want to make sure that that thing will take it. Because my frame right now, I drive my truck around daily, and all 4 of my shocks are blown. Like 3 people sit on the back of my truck, and that thing's a lowrider. So I'm very low buck with it right now, but once it starts getting done, I want it to be the nicest thing that I can build. So I hope it does well. I hope I can do it this summer because I'll have time then. I really want to, like, the frame's just kind of sitting on my side yard, so hopefully I can flip it around and put it on some jack stands and make sure it's all straight, start doing what you did and fill in all the holes on the sides of the frame. Mock up my Crown Vic front end and mock up the rear end, and just pretty much, well, I probably will send it in to get it. I'll tack everything in and do all my measurements, and I'll have a professional either come over and weld it, or I'll send it out to get welded. professionally, and then come back and probably strip the whole subframe down in that rolling chassis, and I hopefully will either, what is it? I think it's POR 15 that everyone does, or either that or I'll actually get the frame powder coated. Me and my dad talked about doing that, so we'll see. That's kind of just with an open mind. I mean, it could go any direction, but I thought that would be really cool. And then once I build this rolling chassis with whatever wheels and the lowered suspension and all of these custom motor mounts and all this stuff, that I could literally swap my whole body over. So I'd swap the cab, the wiring harness, the bed, all that other stuff. And I would put, I don't know, I probably will end up putting, I have a Tremec TKO 5-speed for the truck, brand new. I got it for dirt cheap, $1,300 with McLeod clutch. I got a Lakewood bell housing, and I got all this fancy stuff for it. And it only had like 5,000 miles on it. And so I was like, oh, I want that, because you can go with either a T5 or TKO or T56. T56 is like the really expensive 6-speed, but the TKOs are still over $2,000. So when I saw it, I had to jump on it. And I picked that up for the truck because I really, really wanted, I didn't want a 6-speed. I didn't want an automatic. I wanted a 5-speed. I don't really know why. I just like how they are. I thought a 5-speed would be perfect for my truck, so I wanted to do a 5-speed. So I have that. I'll probably end up putting that in the truck this summer before the whole Crown Vic thing goes together, but just so I have like a 5-speed in my truck, because I do daily drive it on the highway, and I'll turn 3,200 RPMs at 75 miles an hour. It sucks. So I want those overdrive gears pretty badly.
Dude, that sounds phenomenal. Are you going to run the same engine that's currently in the truck, or are you going to build one of the engines that you kind of have stuffed in the side shed right now to be the new power plant?
Yeah, I really want to keep the bottom end that's in it. I mean, it's got the factory motor. The motor hasn't been changed, so I want to keep that motor. But at the same time, I'm kind of like torn between that has a really solid bottom end. Like the short block in that thing is perfect. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's like almost no wear on the bearings. Like that thing is perfect. It does have some head noise and lifter tick, so I would have to put different heads on it. But I did, since I do have those other motors, I probably would rather build up one of the other motors and just keep this motor, because it's like you wouldn't pull. I just don't see it being worth pulling apart literally a perfect running motor to change the pistons out if it's I know it's solid. So I feel like it would be better for me to take one of those other motors that I have, or pick up a different one. And I want to just keep it really simple, so I'd probably do stock crank, stock rods. And then I would just do a flat top piston just to kind of get a lot higher compression. And then I would most likely I have 351 heads off a different engine that I would probably port just a hair. And I have a 280 duration comp cam with 512 lift that we'll probably put in it. And that'll give it a pretty good amount of oomph. And then I got a high rise and I'll probably put a double pumper on it. It'll be pretty simple. Not a crazy amount of horsepower, but obviously I don't have the money to put $10,000 into a motor, so I just want to have fun. So these are a lot of spare parts I have. Literally, I have all these parts, so literally the only thing I would need is the pistons. So it wouldn't really cost me that much, just because I've acquired all this stuff. Craigslist, friends, like none of this stuff's new either. Not a single thing I bought for my truck is new. So it's all refurbished or old or whatever.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, so it sounds like basically you're going to be able to build everything, including putting the engine in place, the transmission in place, and then when it's all basically ready to run and drive, just pull your body.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. The only thing that's pretty much stopping me is imagine that, like, I do all my work outside, like, because my mom and her nice new car stay in the garage, so my truck's always outside. I literally never get the garage. And so our smaller garage has basically like our parts or whatnot in it, and then I don't have like an indoor space to be able to pull the truck apart. So that's kind of a big thing that's been holding me back over the years, and that's kind of why I just like settled to drive the truck rather than try to build it right now. So that's why I have all these parts. I've acquired these parts over 3 years, going to swap meets, meeting people, Craigslist and whatnot. But I'm hoping my uncle he's just finishing up a garage shop space, so maybe I could swig into persuading him to let me kind of work on my project there. Plus, the big thing is, like, I'm 19 years old, and I'm learning all this stuff. I'm very new to it. My dad isn't necessarily a car guy. He helps me with everything, but he's not really a hot rodder. He's just kind of he's a mechanical engineer. He knows what he's doing, but he's new to it. And then I don't really have that, like, family person that's, like, super, super into cars that knows all this fabrication stuff and knows how to do all this stuff. So like I've never rebuilt the motor apart. I've pulled pistons once. So I'm like, I need to learn all this stuff, and I need someone there to kind of like guide me through it so I don't mess this up. Because like if I built this whole motor with all the stuff I just told you, and then I dropped the valve, I'd scream. I'd be so mad. So I want to make sure I'm doing it right the first time. So I'm hoping my uncle's like the only real car guy. That's kind of what all the car shows I go to. He started a car show, and I brought my truck down to those car shows. I was there last night actually. I had my truck down there. Everyone likes seeing the truck, and so I'm hoping he'll kind of be my ticket into where he can kind of show me how to build the motor, make sure the front end's straight, that kind of stuff. Because like I can do simple stuff, but when it comes to the heavy welding, fabrication, and like engine building stuff, I want to make sure that stuff is entirely like solid from someone that has done it before. So,
well, I think it's smart. I mean, the way you're going about it, instead of just little pieces here and there, you're able to accumulate things, and then when it's time to do the project, you just do the whole thing at once.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And I was kind of like, back when I was in high school, so I'm a freshman in college now, so last year, the year before, when I was actually driving the truck to school, I had a bunch of these parts, and I'd always talk about doing the Crown Vic. I'd talk about doing that, and everyone gave me the, oh yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, or this, that, and the other. And I know how that goes. It's just like, it gets irritating, and it's like, yeah, I want to do it, but it's like, I just don't know how. And it's like, I got a Lincoln 140 with no gas on it. It's like, I'm not putting that front end in that frame. There's no way. So, so I just like, I'd be patient, and I'm like, they'll see it when it's done, and then they'll stop talking. So, but it'll be really cool, because I have everything. So it's not like I can't do it. It's just, I want to do it right. So I'm being slow. I'm being patient. I'm trying to be patient. The thing that I think is kind of like making it okay is the fact that I got my C10 painted. I did that whole truck, and that truck kind of looks pretty nice now. So I'm like, okay, I built something nice. That makes me feel pretty good. And now I can like have two of them. And I just got the C10 driving. So now I have two that actually drive. I usually only have my truck that drives, my F100. And if that breaks, then I'm really screwed. So I actually have two that drive, and I look at that truck, and then I look at mine. I'm like, okay, I did this. Now I can come back to my F100. I can sell the C10 and get a driver, and then I can start tearing apart my truck, and then we can start having some real fun. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, you have to tear through the desert a little bit and beat on that C10 a little bit before you sell it, right?
Oh yeah, everyone has been telling me the problem I have with that truck is it's actually 6'9" from outside of the tire to outside of the tire in the front end, so 6'9" wide in the front, and I cannot get it to fit in the wheel wells of a standard trailer. And extended U-Haul is like the only one it wants to fit on, and so those are $75 to rent. And so like, and plus I don't know if you've seen the videos, I have so many fuel issues with that truck. The fuel system on it sucked, and so I replaced all the lines and rebuilt the fuel pump and did all the stuff to it. And I finally got the fuel system dialed, but the desert's a 2-hour drive for me, and so I'm just kind of like, I don't want to take it there and then have it break and then really be screwed. So I'm like, I'll take it I tell my friends this, I'm like, I will take it to the desert if you provide me a trailer, because I just don't have a trailer it'll fit on. So, but I have actually, I took it out. I recently did a video where I was testing out some light products, and so I went out to a local field, and I actually jumped the truck, and it did really good. I used half the travel in the front end, and I asked my friend, I was like, because they were standing at the bottom, I was like, so did I get it off the ground? He's like, well, let's just say all 4 tires were obviously pretty high off the ground. I was like, well, alrighty then. And so it does really well, and I can't wait to actually get out and make a video with it. But it's got miscellaneous things like there's no turn signals in the truck. It's got one brake light that works. They don't get brighter. The headlights don't really work very well. And when I turn the light bars on, the headlights go off, and it's got some wiring stuff that I need to take care of before I start driving the truck.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Sense. But I did take it to a cruise night car show this last Thursday, so it was like 2 or 3 days ago, and it didn't break. I was proud of it, and I drove it up and down Main Street a few times, parked it, revved it up, did a burnout, went out, jumped it, came back, and it didn't break. So I was really happy.
That's a win.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take a win there. That's pretty good. So yeah, it was kind of cool. It was like the first time anyone's really seen the truck outside of my property, so I was like pretty happy. Everyone was checking it out. And I was pretty proud of it, but I do need to get the camera on it and make some more videos with it. A lot of people didn't like it because it was my first Chevy, because I went through like 4 or 5 Fords, and then I bought this, and everyone's like, what the heck is this? So I was like, just trust me, okay? I'm not necessarily a Chevy guy, but I got it for cheap. I can have some fun with it, and I can make some money on it. So just bear with me. It'll be fun. Trust me. So.
Dude, everybody wants a good desert toy. Like, I'd love to build a pre-runner.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but it's just there's not very many around here, and you can't find them like you did. So I've definitely watched those, you know, those videos of you working on it and changing out or working on the windows and doing a bunch of the stuff where you actually redid the inside of the truck and just got it all dialed in. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah,
so.
I think the thing that drew me to it is it was my buddy's, and he had the fuel system issues, and so it was parked in his backyard for like 6 months, and he just had the whole truck rewired. He had brand new BFG mud trains, which are a $1,000 set of tires on it, and it had no miles on the tires. There was all this work done to it. I mean, the shocks are perfectly valved for the weight of the truck, so it rides incredibly smooth. You can hit a giant dip in the road or a speed bump 40, 50 miles an hour and it just soaks it up like nothing. And it's like, the truck was built in the 2000s by actually a guy local here that I knew, and he was saying that the cage hangs really, really low. I'm 6'2", and so I sit in that truck, and I'm pretty much staring at the roll bar, which is really sketchy for me. and so he said that the guy originally built it was like 5'2", or like he was like literally like a midget, and so he had that truck, and that's why the cage was so low. And I was like, well, if he was a midget, he would at least have like fabrication knowledge to stick the cage in like the normal like area of the truck and like tuck it into the roof like how it's supposed to be or whatnot. But regardless, I was just happy because he was my friend. He sold it to me for cheap. He knew I wanted it, and he just wanted it gone because it sat on his property, so I got a good deal. It was already pre-built. I mean, the stuff that's on that, some of the fabrication work that's on that, you would spend like upwards of $5,000 just to get the tube work done on that truck. So I was like, dude, sold. I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I was pretty set.
That's a win. That's a win for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw that I watched the video of where the F-250 went to a new home. Have you heard anything about, you know, him working on that at all? I mean, I know you were buying and flipping some of those Fords and whatnot. Has anybody reached back out to you and been like, hey, man, I really appreciate it. I've, you know, done this with this truck so far or anything like that?
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw my dent side. I used to have a 75 dent side. It was like Highland green. It was a beautiful truck. I had that one originally. That was my first like real flip, I guess, to where I cleaned it, fixed it, sell it. Before that, I bought a wrecked one and I parted that out, but this was my first real one. I bought that truck and I sold it to a local guy here in my small town. He drives it. He's a military guy. He was in Air Force. I think it was a pilot or something. No, he's a Marine jet pilot or something like that. He bought it. He gave me full price. He knew I was a college student, so he gave me the full price I asked. So I bought it for $1,600. I put like $400 in it. So I was in it like $2,000, sold it for $4,000. So I doubled my money. I was pretty happy. And he actually takes the truck. He drives it in town. He'll take it in town, get groceries in it. I literally was sitting at a Denny's once, and I was sitting with my friends. He's like, hey, look, your truck. And I was like expecting like a 71 Ford. And I turn around, and it's my old 75. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, hey, I know that truck. So he drives it, and then he lives like not that far from me. So I'll actually go to my friend's house, and I'll pass it on the street, and I'll see it in the driveway, and it sits there. And he sent me pictures. He reupholstered the seat, and he started doing the interior. And it just made me really happy that, because before I bought it, it sat under a tree for 2 years. And so I was happy that I kind of thought of it as like, if I didn't take it out there, it would never be where it is now. And I was proud of that.
Yeah.
But the other 71 I just sold kind of had a different fate. I was kind of upset with that. But I put a pretty good amount of work just cleaning it, but I didn't put much money into it. I mean, it wasn't really a nice truck by any means. It had a lot of dents and the bed was destroyed. But I thought at least someone could use it as a work truck or have some sort of fun with it. The guy that bought it was really nice, really friendly. He ended up buying it and took it back up to, he was a military guy. He took it up to a military base he was at. The truck had expired tags, so I told him to kind of be careful there. And the truck actually ended up getting towed. It had a warning, and then we were still a registered owner, so I was getting I was getting notifications for all this because he never registered it like he said he would. And so I got a warning in the mail saying that move your vehicle, we're going to tow it. And then I got like 3 days later saying your vehicle's been towed. And then I got like a couple weeks later from an impound lot saying your vehicle's been in our lot too long, we're auctioning your vehicle off. So
no way.
Yeah, so that's one thing I have not told really anyone, but that's the kind of the fate of that truck. So in my opinion, from salvage lot auctions and impound lot auctions and tow yard auctions, I'm pretty sure someone got it for dirt cheap, and it's probably just a yard worker's truck, honestly, because that's really all it was good for with a ladder rack on it, which is kind of okay, but I kind of feel bad for the guy because he threw away all the money he spent on it, and I was like, well, come on. And I was hoping he would at least buy it back from the tow yard auction, but I thought about it logically, and I was like, you're going to rack up at least $600 in fees from that tow yard right away. And then you've got the purchase price and you still got to register it. And I was like, at that point, it's not even worth it. So I was like, I could have even bought the truck back if I tried hard enough, but I was like, you know what? I don't even want it. I didn't even like that truck that much. I had so many issues with that thing, but yeah, kind of a bummer. You win some, you lose some, but I guess it kind of gave me both sides of the system to where I haven't lost necessarily money yet, but I've gotten one truck that had a terrible fate, one truck that had a good fate. So I guess it works out, but okay, I guess I still got paid in the end, but I still kind of felt bad.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do. I mean, it looked like he was going to take it home and just enjoy it and whatnot, watching the video, and it just kind of, you guys even went and put new tires on it.
Yeah, we put new tires on it. My dad actually ended up helping him pay for them because he was a young kid, and then he never ended up paying my dad back, which was kind of rude. He only owed my dad like $100 and something for the spare, whatever it was, because his card maxed out or something. So my dad was nice enough to help him pay, and he never sent any money back, which was kind of rude. We were getting all the notifications, so my dad was calling him and texting him saying, hey, your truck's about to get towed. Like, your truck's been towed. Like, he's helping him all this time, and he just wouldn't respond, I guess. But, oh, well, I mean, win some, you lose some. I mean, I feel bad for the kid, but, I mean, I wish he would have tried just a hair harder, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the truck's being driven. I mean, sure, someone owns it and someone's using it. I wouldn't be surprised if I drove it around somewhere and I saw someone pass me and I would laugh pretty hard. But
they're probably enjoying it. They were like, "Oh, dude, I just scored this awesome truck." And
oh yeah, I'm sure it probably sold for well under $1,000. I can't imagine that thing selling for very much at a salvage yard auction.
Yeah.
So hopefully someone's enjoying it. That still makes me feel better. It sat for 10 years before I bought it from a guy from a winery, so it just sat there. So I felt good getting it out and at least driving. So I guess I did my part.
Absolutely. You did what you could.
Yep.
Well, so I want to hop over to your YouTube channel a little bit, and what kind of pushed you to start that? I mean, you've had you've got a pretty good following on there, and you put out great videos. I enjoy watching them. I mean, tell me a little bit about that, and the listeners. Like, what kind of got you inspired to start doing the YouTube vlogging with your vehicles?
Yeah, of course. So it was my senior year in high school. I used to work at a Little Caesars Pizza, so that was my first real job. I guess I had miscellaneous other jobs before that, but that was my real job. And I didn't have much money, and I kind of watched YouTubers. I think the one I used to always watch, I still watch today, his name is Adam LZ. He's kind of like a import drifter guy. He was really into BMX, and I was into BMX as a kid, so I liked watching him. He's at 2 million subscribers now. I watched him when he was at 60K. So I've watched him for the past 5 years, and I was kind of I want to be able to do that. He started his own clothing company. He started making products. He does all this stuff, and it's all from his YouTube audience. So I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. And so me and my cousin, Michael, who a lot of people know from my YouTube channel, he's my cousin, and we pretty much have our project. I have my F100. He has a 69 Fastback Mustang that he's building from the ground. And so we were sitting in my garage pretty bored, and we were just we were looking at all the pictures and videos on our phones because we had pictures of when we got both our projects and to where it is now. We had miscellaneous videos and clips, and it was just on, I think, my old iPhone. And I was just like, hey, let's splice all these together into a video and throw it up on YouTube and see how it does. And so we decided to do that. He did one and I did one. I used a ZZ Top song. I knew nothing about music copywriting, and I knew nothing really about YouTube too much. And so I just kind of threw together all the old pictures of my truck when I bought it, and then to where I just got it driving, and it literally didn't even drive. The foot was it stalled upside down, and then it was flooding itself, but I still it drove. And I pretty much put every picture and video I had together and made this little slideshow kind of / video thing, and I put it up, and I called it my F100 1971 Ford F100 first start and drive. It's my first video on the channel that had my truck in it, because before that I would make bike videos and RC car videos and all that miscellaneous other stuff that never did really well, but I wanted to try something with my truck. And so I put that video up, and then I kind of it did pretty well, and so I pretty much went into kind of filming more stuff, but I really started YouTube as not necessarily to get famous or to make money or to do any sort of cool stuff. I wanted it as a documentation, because I loved looking at, I kind of looked because when I started putting those videos out, I had my truck with like a new front end on it. I was daily driving it in high school. It was pretty bare bones, but I still I had new wheels and tires on it. It was like right to where it was solid enough to where I could daily drive it. And I looked back and I realized I didn't have very many pictures or very many videos of when I just got it. And that's when I think I really wanted the most. And I felt that. I was like, I really wish I could see that truck again. Like, I would pay so much money to go back and see my truck with a garbage motor that was all full of junk in it and rat's nest interior. I mean, my headliner sagged. Half the headliner was full of a rat's nest. And I wish I could see that part of my truck again. It had a green tailgate on it because when it used to haul those appliances in the tow yard, it had a Tommy gate. So the guy took that off and put a green tailgate on it. It had a smash grill. And I really I wish I could have saw all that. And so I wanted to keep filming everything I did. And so my friend, I went out and I wanted to keep upgrading the truck, and so I went out and I bought more parts for it, and I found on Craigslist a $30 set of F100 small block long tube headers, which are pretty hard to find. And so I was like, sweet, let's go. And then so me and my friend went and got them, and they were rusty, but they had the cross member bend that I needed and like a little bit of the exhaust. And so I was like, sweet, $30, let's go. And so I went out and I got them, and a buddy of mine actually surprised me and wire wheeled them and painted them for me, and he got them. We put them in that night. And I pissed my mom off. I parked my truck in the driveway. I hacked the exhaust out of it, cut it out. The mufflers were like 20 pounds full of rust. It was ridiculous. And then I hacked all that off, pulled the old manifolds off, got new grade 8 bolts for it. And for anyone who hasn't installed headers in an F100, you pretty much need to raise the motor like 3 inches to wedge them in there. But me being like a 16-year-old, no, I don't have a cherry picker. We're going to beat the crap out of these things until they go in. And so what I did was I unbolted the transmission from the crossmember and I jacked the back of the transmission up until it literally hit the transmission tunnel. And then I wedged the driver's side one went in pretty good. And then the long tube on the passenger side kept hitting the starter and the crossmember. And so I just took a rubber mallet and beat it for 30 minutes straight until it went in. And it actually went in. It actually went in though. No, it went in. It took me 2 days to put these long tubes in because I just could not get the passenger side one in. So we were raising it and moving it, and we just took a rubber mallet, had this nice heat-resistant black paint job on it, and by the time they were in, they were destroyed. I was like, I don't even care. So we got them in, and then I realized after the fact, I was like, I don't have any mufflers, because I had a 2-inch or 2 2/4 inch or 2 1/4 inch or whatever, some super small exhaust on my truck, and I went to a 3-inch collector on these long tubes, and so I was like, oh, this is one big difference. And I was like, I don't have mufflers, I don't have exhaust tubing, I have nothing. And I was like, I have to drive to school tomorrow because it was Sunday, I think, or something like that. And I was like, well, this is sick. And I was like, we finally got them in, and I made an installation video on doing this whole thing, and I kind of talk about it. And so it was 9:30 at night, and we finally got them in. And so I was like, all right, let's start it. And my truck was so quiet. All you heard when you revved it up was the fan. It was super quiet. You just heard the fan rev up and down. And so we started this thing, and it sounded like a NASCAR, like a super thumpy drag car or something crazy like that. And I started it, and it was cold, so it died. And I just looked at my friend, and I was like, "Oh my God!" The only thing I was running through my head was when I drive it to school the next day, that everyone's just gonna flip out, and the thing's gonna be so insane. Everyone's gonna just it's gonna blow it out of the water. Because it was ear piercing loud. I mean, it's a small block with open headers.
And you're like, yes.
Yeah, and it had a 2-barrel on it. It was literally a bone stock 302 with long tubes, and the thing was ear-piercing loud, and it was 9:30 at night, and so I started it up. I kind of pulled it up to 2 grand, let it warm up for a second, and I whacked it a few times, and I heard it pop. And my friend looks under it, and he's like, dude, it's spitting flames, and so I went underneath it and let him rev it up, and it's all spitting flames, and so we were all happy. My mom and dad come outside, and my mom's just giving me this stinking dirty look. She looked like she wanted to kill me, and so my dad was all kind of smiling and laughing. And so we pretty much were like, dude, we finally got it driving. Let's go drive this thing around. And I remember that night, it was pitch black outside. It was coming up on 10 o'clock, and we hit this main road. We're kind of in a residential area, but it's more of a main road. I punched it in first all the way up to red line, threw it in second, all the way to red line, and then I pulled it into third, and I went all the way down this I probably hit 60, 70 miles an hour. I think it was dirt slow, but it was stupid loud. I probably woke up literally everyone in the entire residential area I was in. But I didn't care. I was having so much fun with that. And so the following day is when I took it to my high school with no exhaust because I didn't have mufflers. I didn't have anything. And so I told my friend, I was like, dude, I'm going to make a reaction video. And I had my GoPro with me, and I was just kind of filming miscellaneous whatever in the morning. And I was like, I'm going to make a cool video, and I'm going to make a reaction to where all my friends see this thing, because like everyone knew my truck as the old rusty farm truck, grandpa truck or whatever, and I was like, I want them to see this thing as like a total hot rod now. I'm gonna blow them out of the water, because I used to park by, I think it was a 1970 or 69 C10 a buddy of mine had, and it was lower. It had 305s on the back of it. It had a really cool 7,000 RPM motor, and then we'd always have rev offs, and I was like, okay, you'll win every single time, because I have these like 20-inch Flowmasters that are filled with rust and like don't make any noise. And so I come the next day and I park next to them. We park next to each other every single day. So I get there like an hour early for school. There's not a single person in the parking lot. I drive there on open headers and I'm filming it. This is in the video I made. I pretty much decided to make an open header high school reaction video, and it was, so I got there an hour early and I sat there with my camera and I was like, okay, I'm going to sit here. I purposely got there early so no one would hear the truck. No one was like expecting any of this. And so I was waiting there for like 2 hours for everyone to kind of like pile around. And I was like, everyone kind of saw I put hints on social media that I put these things on, but I never put a video out of how loud they were. And so we pretty much, everyone, all these high school kids crowded around my truck, and we had this little rev off, and I made the other kid in the C10 start it up first and rev his truck up, and it does his thing or whatever. And I'm like, okay, shut it off. And then everyone walks forward. And I started mine and whacked the throttle a few times, and it started spitting flames, and it was just ear-piercing loud. And I think I set a car alarm off, and it was just, he gets out of his truck, his windows were open, so he gets out of his truck and walks around while he's covering one ear, walks up front, and everyone's like, oh my God. And I just let off, and it growls back down to an idle. It was the greatest moment of my life, I swear. And that was the high school open header reaction video that I did, which it literally is, I'm looking at it right now, it's at 936,000 views. It'll clock 1 million views this summer, which is just mind-boggling to me. But the video, it had probably like, it got up to like 1,000 views in like the first month. And then probably 3 months after, I was working at my Little Caesars, and then that video just started sprouting up. It went up to 5,000 to 6,000, and then within a day it was at like 12,000. And I was showing my coworker, I was like, dude, look at this. This is sick. And then within the next month, the thing was at 30,000 and then 60,000. It was just compounding on itself. It was getting an insane amount of views. And the thing that I guess really kind of like lit the fire to where I really wanted to make more videos was that I was sitting in my physics class and I was kind of showing people like the video that I made, because people were starting to like hear about the video, and that people were watching the video and they were seeing how many more views it got. And they would turn around in class at the beginning of class every day and ask me like, hey, how many views is that thing at? And I was like, oh, check it out. And it's like, dude, it's at 20,000. It was at 12,000 like 3 days ago. And I was like, yeah. And then the next thing I know, by the end of that year, the video was at like, I think over 200,000, which was insane. And now a year later, it's at almost 1 million. So that's to this day, the #1 video on my channel. And I just, from there, I wanted to do more projects. I wanted to do more cool stuff. And I just wanted to do stuff that people enjoyed. And I found it really cool.
That's fantastic, man. I mean, obviously it worked. Obviously, I mean, that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think shortly after that, I picked up a pre-runner my friend built, and then he kickflipped it and smashed the cab. He rolled it, and I bought it for $400. And then that was my first like project that started picking up on the channel, and we pulled the motor out of it. He kept the motor in the trans, and I got the body, and I was literally tearing it apart. And that was the truck that was my first like money maker. I parted that truck out, and I made like $1,500 off all the stuff that was on it. I was like proud of myself because I'd never done this stuff. This was like one of the first trucks I've ever worked on. It was like my first project. The first vehicle I ever bought at the time was that $400 wrecked truck. It was like the first thing I ever bought. My mom killed me because I never told her, and it was just towed over to the side of my house and just dropped off as a wrecked truck, and she was pissed. So, but I told her,
why are you bringing junk to my house? What
yeah.
What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, she saw the motor. There wasn't a motor. She saw the roof was all smashed. There was glass everywhere, and there was beer cans inside. And it was a mess. And I was like, just trust me. I know what these parts are worth. I will get my money back. And I did. And so she kind of felt a little bit more trust in me. And then I started putting money into my truck. I put a new door on it, and I put fenders on it, and I put taillights on it. I changed the dash. I started doing all this stuff to it, because the tailgate, the passenger door, both front fenders, the grill inserts, lights, and I believe a couple trim pieces are not original in my truck, but you wouldn't tell them unless I told you. So I bought because the doors were hyperextended and the fenders were smashed and the grills were smashed. I bought new ones, but I made sure they were Wimbledon white, And one of the front fenders that was on my truck was actually on a yellow and white two-tone. So the top of the fender is actually yellow, but I sanded it down and painted it Wimbledon, and I kind of aged it a little bit, and I slapped it on, and you couldn't really tell too much. And I was like, this will work temporarily until I find a patinaed Wimbledon white long bed or whatever that I can tear apart and rip the doors off it and the fenders off it. So I wanted, everyone told me to paint my truck. Everyone told me to paint that thing. And I was like, no, when it's lowered, you're going to like it. Trust me. So I paid $200 and gave the guy my old tailgate for the Wimbledon white tailgate that I have, the rusty tailgate. Just so I can get, because I've been looking for 3 years and I finally found one. So I paid the guy a ton of money and I finally got one. I made a video on it, but I got so ripped off, but I didn't care because I could not find one, and the patina matches the bed of my truck perfectly. People don't even know until I tell them.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. So hopefully, I can get new doors that match, and I can fix the roof, and it'll look 100% original. I want every panel to match. That's what I want.
Well, you're doing a good job, and it sounds like, you've already got most of everything you need to put it together.
Yeah. Going pretty smoothly. So that's
awesome.
Literally, it's just the clock's coming down to when I can go on summer and kind of move back home for the most part, because I'll be at school all week and I'll come home on the weekends, and I would work on every other Saturday, so I'd have 1 day to work. And then it's kind of why my channel's been a little bit harder to do lately, just because how am I going to work on my truck? My truck would sit in the parking garage at my college, and it's I can't really do much, because if I want to work on it, then it's if I mess something up, then I can't drive it. So it's just a constant, what do I do? That's kind of why I tried a video podcast. I tried miscellaneous other things. I remade old videos. I would upload videos that were a couple weeks old, just because I would stagger them to where I would have enough time, and then on that one free day I had, I would make 3 videos. So I can just make sure that I was keeping consistent, because I knew channels died if they went inactive, and so I wanted to stay active. And it's kind of hard, but I know it'll pay off when I get to the summer and I'm actually making every 2 days or daily even, and we start doing the Crown Vic build. I know it's going to take off to where I want it to be, and I just really want my audience to be there when I actually start building the truck, because everyone loves my truck the way it is. I've always been kind of hesitant. I've made it the way I kind of can, but I'm not happy with it by any means. I want it to be, like I've said, with the Crown Vic and all that. That's the version that I picture in my mind, and every time I look at it, I'm kind of everyone's well, why don't you take pictures of your truck? It's because if you look at the back of it, it's all stink bug with those skinny tires. It just doesn't look good. And it's just I gotta get it lowered. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. It's just, I don't know. But this summer, I'm hoping that I can get it to that spot, or at least close, and then I'll be a lot more happy. I think it's just, if I had a 5-speed in it, if I had a drop beam kit, if I had different wheels on it, just miscellaneous stuff like that, and I would just tie it all together, because it'll get there, but it's just in time, and it's just that waiting game, and it's just killing me to wait. So
yeah, but it'll be well worth the wait, for sure.
Oh, I know. Yep. It's a hard wait, but everyone seems to like the truck, so I'm just doing miscellaneous things that I can think of that people enjoy, and we'll keep on chugging. So.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, I enjoy watching the videos. I think you have a beautiful truck, and yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and chat with me and tell us all about it. Yeah,
of course. It was a pleasure. This was actually pretty fun. I liked it.
Well, it's easy because you're very personable, and yeah, man, I enjoyed it. We'll have to do it again for sure.
Yeah, of course. We'll have to do it again when the truck's actually the way I want it.
Absolutely. Maybe midway through the build, we can,
sneak back around,
chat about it a little bit, and see, have your plans changed at all? Have you found any things that you want to, do a little different?
Yeah, and the thing that I want to keep in mind also, that when I'm doing this build, I have to have because I don't have necessarily a real job by any means. My job, I guess you could call it YouTube, but I don't make a crazy amount of money by any means. And my real job is flipping these trucks. So I buy them and I don't get paid until they sell. So I've owned my C10 since September, and it's April, so I haven't been paid. So I need to get the thing sold, and then when I'm doing my truck, I want to get another small project, a running project that I can do something like the C10 and flip it or make a fun video. But I want to get a car. I'm sure you noticed the common theme is trucks, more trucks. I consider myself a car guy. Everyone's you need to build an off-road truck, but I'm a car guy, but I want to lower trucks, and it's just like I don't know why I just cannot get my hands on a car. I don't know, it's just not. I find F100s all over the place. I just can't seem to get a car that fits what I do, and I don't know. Time will tell. I'll get one.
You keep watching that 71 Mach 1 that you keep, that I see that you've, favorited as one of your, highlighted stories on Instagram.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you're looking for, really.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, something like that.
Yeah, and I was trying to get that car, and I was so damn close to getting that car, and then the house went up on fire, and the car actually burnt to the ground. I was pissed. I was like, just my luck.
Sucks.
Yeah, I made a video on that, too. I was just like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, I was so close to getting that car, and it was an original paint Mach 1. And I was like, this would be such a cool project for the channel, and I was like, we're going to get this thing. And then I get a snapshot of my friend like, oh, that house burned down. I was like, no way. So I drove past it, and the whole front end of the car lit up. I was interior burned. I was, But we'll get a car. I know it. I can find one. I'm just being patient. I'm holding myself back, really. I just because I had 3 trucks, and that was hectic. I had my F100, the F250, and the C10, and I was like, this is just too much. So I was like, let's just stick with 2 at a time. And so I'm going to wait till I sell the C10 to get a different project. So that's just how I'm going to try to do it. So
fair enough.
Yep.
Well, guys, if you want to check out what Craig's got going on, you can follow him on Instagram or on YouTube, and you should be doing both anyway. But it's the Craig 909 on both Instagram and YouTube. So, go give him a follow, give him a bunch of likes on his Instagram, go and, subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got great content. I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch. He, it makes it really easy because he's a very personable guy. So, make sure all of you guys go and check it out and show him some love.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully this summer maybe we can actually meet up. I can fly out there or even drive my truck out there. That'd be cool.
Dude, it would be awesome. I mean, we are doing the Northwest Truck Fest at the end of June, beginning of July over in Caldwell. I know that's a long ways for you to drive, but, if you fly out to Boise, I'll pick you up and, we'll crash the pad out there and just have some fun.
Yeah, that would be definitely fun. I would definitely be down to do that.
Really enjoyed having a chance to chat with Craig about his truck, his builds, and his passion for these, old vehicles. So make sure you go over and give him a follow on Instagram, the Craig 909. It's also the same on YouTube, the Craig 909. Give him a subscribe, show him some love. Check out his videos. They're great. I know he's got a ton of great content coming for this summer as he gets out of school. But really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to the podcast, and we'll catch you next time.